Hey guys, Weir, roadtorudo.com with your morning horn of Z's, your sip of coffee. Check it out. They always put Vicks on my coffee cup at my local coffee shop. I say Bix, and I usually say Bix, B-I-X. They don't get it. Oh well. Anyway, today I am on the road. So your morning horn of Z's is going to be from the road. But there is something I did want to talk about, extremely important in the realm of what we do. By the way, I'm going to a soccer game this morning. They always throw them really early in the morning so it doesn't get hot and, you know, the kids have time to do whatever they're supposed to do during the day, like homework. Very important. But I wanted to talk about why the cryptocurrencies are going crazy, why silver and gold should go crazy. Why is this all happening? Nobody ever talks about why. Why is this happening? It's not just an investment. It's not just about bubbles and getting rich off investing in silver and gold. This is happening because of the fraud at the upper levels of our monetary system, our global unbacked fiat monetary system. You know, everybody expects the governments to tell the truth about how much money they create out of thin air, and they don't. Every single government lies their teeth off, and it is unlimited the amount of money they can create. Now, the U.S., through the Federal Reserve System and the U.S. Treasury, rigs the commodity markets to keep everything under control, to keep the game going, the facade, the fake front of our current monetary system. But here's what happens behind the scenes is these banksters and the government criminals are siphoning off massive trillions and trillions of dollars off the top. In 2013, Jamie Dimon of our lovely JP Morgan, a sinister criminal bank, probably the head criminal bank at the moment, if not HSBC, which is pure criminal. At least JP Morgan has a side that's not criminal, supposedly, or was working for the federal government. HSBC is just pure criminality. But Jamie Dimon in 2013, when he was getting crap for all the criminal crimes that he commits, said, oh, you can't mess with us. We have $2 to $5 trillion going out of a secret facility in Florida every single day. Every single day, 2 to 5 trillion with a T dollars comes out and goes into JP Morgan's coffers. That amount of money, if you just multiply it times a year, 365 days, it is insane. It is insane how much money is transferred. But then you start thinking, well, what is this money? Where did this money come from? How does JP Morgan, how do they transfer trillions and trillions, $2 to $5 trillion per day on average? It's done through fraud, complete and utter fraud. And remember, when you borrow money, the shorter the term, the lower the interest rate, right? The banks have taken this to extreme levels. Extreme levels. So we're not talking, 1 to 2 year rollovers, like you get a cheaper mortgage the shorter the term. We're talking days. We're talking the overnight repo market. We're talking hours sometimes. Continual flow of practically free money for JP Morgan. As long as the system keeps running, they keep recycling this money at real cheap numbers. And they also create it out of thin air, just like every government does. And they call them black budgets. Black budgets are money that is never reported to the world. So how much, you talk about the United States being $20 trillion in debt. And then if you're smart and you have the power to create money at will at the behest of Congress, why not print out or tell the U.S. Mint to make a $20 trillion platinum coin and give it to all our creditors and say, there, this coin is legal tender. It says $20 trillion. There's your $20 trillion. We are now out of debt. And that can happen. That can happen very easily. But the problem is it breaks down the facade. it takes away the power of that unbacked fiat money system, because everybody will say, oh my God, this is such a fraud. How are they able to do that? And then the whole system gets called into question. Insanity reigns in our financial markets. These aren't even financial markets though, really. These are monetary markets controlled by the SWIFT system, which China and Russia are trying to go around. I think they've already invented a way and have started using a way to go around the SWIFT system. But the SWIFT system's run by the Federal Reserve Bank, and the Federal Reserve Bank is a private entity. You know, I have done a lot of research on the Fed. I think I know why it was created. You know, in G. Edward Griffith's book, Creature from Jekyll Island, you don't see why, they don't tell you why the Federal Reserve was created. What was it that what made Woodrow Wilson sign that bill into law on December 23rd, 1913? Because Woodrow Wilson was very much against the bankers. Very much so against the bankers. He hated the bankers. And almost as much as Andrew Jackson hated the bankers. So why would he allow a central bank to be created in the United States? I think I know the answer. And that answer was a massive, like massive, 10, 20, 30 times the amount of gold that had ever been mined. A massive gold mine was found in the middle of the Grand Canyon. Right when they cordoned off the Grand Canyon, a lot of areas within the Grand Canyon are absolutely off limits to anybody. Anybody. And that includes presidents of the United States, all of whom since Reagan have been trying to get their hands on mining rights within the United States, within the Grand Canyon. And none of them have been able to do it. You might ask, well, who can tell the president no? There are people within the Bureau of Land Management, and there's two sides of it. There's a good side and a bad side. And people within Congress who are very much aware of what has gone on and what is going on with the hiding of the natural resources of America. Dianne Feinstein is the one who spearheads this. She's known about this, the whole thing for a very long time, and she is in charge of cordoning off certain areas within the United States, especially in California, that are very, very, very rich in gold. But the Grand Canyon find at the time in 1900, in the early 1900s, when they found this gold in the Grand Canyon, they actually were afraid because there was only 100 million ounces of gold that had ever been mined in the history of the world. And most of those were held by the rich people, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, but it's also held by every country in the world at the time. Everybody held gold, and the world was pretty much on a gold standard. Gold and silver. Silver was known as the people's money because it was in the hands of the people, and the reason was that there was about 60 billion ounces of physical silver circulating. This was before electronics came in to gobble up all the silver that had ever been mined. So yeah, it's a really big deal that all the gold was found in the Grand Canyon. And according to the headlines of the New York Times, it was billions of ounces with a B. Billions, maybe even tens of billions. And remember, all the gold ever found in the history of the world was 100 million ounces. So this would have destroyed the monetary system. It would have destroyed the wealth of all nations other than whoever controlled that gold in the Grand Canyon. And originally it was controlled by these wealthy financiers coming out of Chicago. And they started mining it, and then they were shut down and then the creation of the Federal Reserve, and all that was going on about the same time. And basically the United States says, we're going to save this gold till a future date. We know we're going to need it one day, but right now, you know, we're one of the richest countries around, so we're going to just save this gold and use it when we need it. So, but in the meantime, we're going to create the Federal Reserve Bank. Federal Reserve Bank is going to create unbacked fiat money. Now, back then, it was still some connection to gold. So the Federal Reserve was created, and ever since then, massive amounts of paper receipts were issued called Federal Reserve notes. Federal Reserve notes are not the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar is defined as a certain amount of grains of silver. It's about an ounce of silver. And gold is based off that. It was 20 to 1 back then. But In reality, there's massive amounts of gold out there, and don't let anybody tell you different, because they are lying. They're going off the released government data. If you believe that our employment rate is tiny and inflation's under control and the GDP is going through the roof, because that's what the government tells you, then you should believe those people who tell you there's only 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools of gold in the world. Complete and utter nonsense. Complete lie. There's millions of tons of gold, not 180,000 tons. Millions of tons. Yes, gold will still be really, really valuable after the crash, because there's even more massive amounts of unbacked fiat money being printed that nobody is told about. So yes, gold will be valuable. Silver will be 100 times as valuable than it is right now. Probably more valuable than gold on a per ounce basis. And that's a big statement, because historically the gold to silver ratio has been about 1 to 12, 1 to 15. But ever since 1971, ever since the mid-50s when they started using silver in electronics, all that silver has been disappearing, and they've been rigging the price since the invention of computers in the 1960s and 70s with Alan Greenspan's financial rigging programs. That's how it all happens. That's how it's all done. So here we sit at the brink of the collapse of the unbacked fiat monetary system, the reintroduction of gold into the system through the opening of the hidden gold in the Grand Canyon, the hidden gold at Chocolate Mountain in California, all the hidden gold mines. The United States always knew they were going to go back. That's why gold, silver, and Bitcoin are all going to be going crazy very soon. Gold and silver especially. But that's why Bitcoin is going off the charts. It's not because of some fanciful bubble. It's because we're going to need Bitcoin as an alternative to what's going to happen to the crazy unbacked system that Jamie Dimon runs out of the basement of his building in Florida. $2 to $5 trillion transfers a day. Ridiculous. What for? Probably 1.9 to 4.9 trillion is used in illegal activities, in market rigging, in paying off politicians. Reportedly, Obama has billions in the bank right now. Billions. All in offshore accounts and entities. Same with half of Congress. They're all on the dole. So, when the system falls apart, what's going to happen? Gold and silver are not going to just jump in there and be easy to use, because no one's going to give it up. People who hold gold and silver will be saying, I think I need it more now than I ever did before. So it would be very hard to go back onto a gold and silver standard, because no one's going to give up their gold. Now, with Bitcoin, it's a different thing. It's very, very easy to use as far as getting it into the hands of the people. I think Satoshi Nakamoto's Bitcoin, the 1 billion or 1 million coins that he owns, is actually the ownership of the American people, is held by the Treasury ready, and the Fed ready for the implementation of some sort of blockchain-backed monetary system using Bitcoin. And I think they're working closely with Apple Computer to put a Bitcoin mining chip on every single phone, so that you will have Bitcoin on your cell phone if you have a cell phone, and other phone companies as well, but mainly Apple. Anyway, that is the story this morning on my way to the soccer game, and cross your fingers for a win today. They usually win. And we will, I'll talk to you later. Make sure you subscribe to these videos, because there's a lot of them coming out about all the secrets behind our monetary system, and why gold and silver are going to go crazy very soon without explanation, and why you should get your hands on Bitcoin and Ethereum as fast as possible. This is Big Weir signing out.